Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Premier Sim Gaming Leagues here for round number 2 of the Gr.4 World Tour on Gr.4 7. It is Tier 2, and it is time to take on Watkins Glen here for the first of 2 American races we are going to have this season. My name is Luke Etheridge, and I'll be taking you through the qualifying action very shortly, and then a 30-lap race. And if you weren't with us last time around, you certainly missed a fantastic race indeed. It was Mick McMock that qualified on pole position in the Mercedes, but it turned out that the Reynolds really did have the best strategy around Kyoto Driving Park, taking all 3 places on the podium. And it was Solid Ninja Snake who took the victory there, continuing his form from last season. The reigning champion now has 3 victories in a row in this tier. It was Yavi who finished in 2nd place. Bransky finishing in 3rd after an incident with Yavi. So you can see the points standings as they are at the moment. Solid Ninja Snake on top then. 16 Yavi has 12. Bransky has 10. Stiro, he certainly felt like he probably deserved better last time out. Felt if it wasn't for incidents earlier in the race, he could have possibly got the victory. Well, got on the podium at least in the Jaguar. He is 4th. Mick McMock ended up in 5th. Sandy Yarney in 6th. Wedgiebo, Bloody 9. SFDC 12. And Jamie were the point scorers. Lee the Reaper, the unfortunate driver that missed out last week around Kyoto. But as we've mentioned tonight, it is going to be around Watkins Glen. So a bit of information about the track that we are going to be going around on screen there. The game counting this as having 15 corners. Most tracks that you see will only count it as having 11. For some reason, the inner loop or the bus stop chicane that you can see there on your screen at the moment as 5, 6, 7 and 8 gets completely ignored by most track maps as actually being there on the circuit as a proper corner. That was added just to slow the cars down as they come into the outer loop or turn number 9 on your map. You can see the kind of running order we are going to have tonight. It is going to be a short 8-minute qualifying session, which will be starting very shortly indeed. Free tyre choice for anyone there, but you must start the final race on the compound that you used to set the fastest lap in qualifying, and then it will be, I believe it will actually not be a 33-lap race, I believe it will be a 30-lap race around Watkins Glen tonight. Not a 33-lap, it will be 30 laps. So, bit of a shorter race than last week in terms of lap time, but it should still be very exciting. Plenty of possible overtaking opportunities. Turn number 1, not really the slowest corner. Cars going side by side into the bus stop would be a very brave move indeed. And I think it is as you head towards the boot. You know, you've got the toe of the boot, turn number 11, the heel at turn number 12. That is where we're going to see a lot of the moves there. And I think that is where we're going to see a lot of fun and hopefully a lot of good overtaking action over the evening. It's certainly something that I am looking forward to, and I hope that you are all looking forward to it as well. But enough from me. The drivers are now starting to head their way out onto circuit, so let's get into the qualifying session. We've all got everything crossed that the lobbies managed to run significantly smoother than they did last week, and it certainly looks like they are at the moment. And following on from the trend of last week, it is going to be Mick McMock, the first driver to take us out on the circuit. Got the pole position last time out, but the Mercedes did not have the tyre life of the Reynolds. And to be honest, you could even argue that on the same tyres, probably didn't really have the massive pace advantage over the Reynolds. If they could pull out a one-stop strategy again around this circuit, they might be hard to beat, and that might be a pattern that we see recurring over the rest of the season. I think the Reynolds just running away with things maybe last time out. I'm sure everyone will be hoping that slightly different circuits, so slightly different BOP parameters as well, balance of performance for those who are unaware, might just make things suit some of the cars that tend to have a bit of straight line advantage, like the Mercedes a bit more, but the Renault is a very good all-round Gr.4 car. These based largely around the cars that you sort of see in GT4 racing, not the faster GT3 category. We do have GT racing here around Watkins Glen. It was used in Formula 1, of course, in the 60s and the 70s more famously. Last used in Formula 1 in 1980. Now more known for hosting IMSA sports car races and the GT races. And of course NASCAR, where Kimi Räikkönen had a race around NASCAR and didn't do too bad until it was involved as an incident coming out of the exit of the S's. But on board we go then with Mick McMock as he takes us on a run around the Watkins Glen circuit, heading towards turn number 1, then heading downhill, dropping down towards third gear. The game very compliant. As long as you stay on the curbs, you tend to be fine with the track limits. As soon as you go over them, that is where you start to face problems. Now coming through the S as a chicane used to be added here while Formula 1 was there to slow the cars down. Thankfully, they've removed it now, and it makes it a much nicer, much more flowing section. This section, not so nice, not so flowing as we head towards the bus stop chicane, the inner loop as it is known. Watch this catch out a few drivers over the night. And there you go, really have got to aggressively attack the curbs at this part of the circuit. That is known as the inner loop. Now in towards the outer loop as we head, if you head straight on, this is where the short circuit would take you, but there is no short circuit on this game. So we now head down the chute and get ready to head towards the boot part of the circuit, added for Formula 1 in the 1970s. As Mick McMark, nice and tidy at the moment, makes his way in towards the slowest corner on the circuit. The toe of the boot there, might even see him dropping down to second gear, but decides to stick it in third. Thinks that he's got enough traction, got enough pace in that gear and enough torque from the SLS AMG engine to stick it out in that third gear. Now heading towards the heel of the boot, gain another possible overtaking opportunity and plenty of tarmac runoff area at that part of the circuit. Thankfully, if anyone gets it wrong, not so much at this very deceptive left-hander here. Turn number 9, as it is more commonly known as. The barrier really closes in you on the exit of the corner, so you can afford to run wide at the early part. If you run wide by the exit, you are going to find yourselves in all sorts of trouble. Now through the final couple of corners, just a bit of a wobble there by Mick McMark. It is a very tight pit entry here, so that is going to be something to watch out for in the races as he heads towards the line on a set of the hard tyres. He was a driver who went for the set of the mediums last time out. Sets a 1:55.7, instantly beaten by LJM Stevo. We'll see what the reigning champion and championship leader can do. Solid ninja stake on his hard tyres. Puts himself in towards 4th place. We've got Meg making his debut tonight. Normally races in our tier 3, our reserve tier. And that is Meg in 5th place. Hello to everyone in the chat. If you are expected to see some of those bigger names like Aura that we saw take the victories in tier 1, their stream either should be live now or should be going live very, very shortly with Webbo. Appreciate you for coming in here. Well, that stream will be heading live now. And it looks like nearly everyone has, if I'm just going through the order, everyone but Diogo has set a time. And that is because Diogo has a qualifying ban. Picked that up for quitting out on circuit last time out. We also saw the qualifying ban as well for Kingston, but he will be serving that in the tier 3 tonight. You might remember a rather controversial incident between Brownski and Yarvi as well. Yarvi going into the back of Brownski as the Brit was on his way out of the pit lane. That was ruled no further action as there were big discrepancies on each other's screens with where the drivers were. So that is a shame. Shame that really did. It probably cost Brownski quite a big result. But that is the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. Nothing Yarvi could do about it as Jamie all over the place here. You can see this little straight on the boot between the toe and the heel is where the slowdown zone is, and that is MMJ making his debut tonight. The first time we've seen a McLaren here in tier 2. Normally a car that is quite popular. I think certainly one of the nicer looking GT cars on the game, and probably arguably one of the nicer looking cars on the game, but he obviously will not be finding any improvements on this lap with that invalidation, well, with that time penalty for, I imagine, that will be track limits. Like I said, as long as you keep it on the black stuff, even on the yellow and red stuff, you can ride the curb quite a lot, as Wedgie Bow has a bit of a moment there. As long as you ride the curves, you can get away with track limits on this place. Go over them, you won't find yourself so lucky, as Yavi's got a very nice delivery now for the Ultimatum X Sports team. Very, very different to what he had last time around, so we'll see what Yavi can do as he heads towards the line. Was the runner-up last week, quite considerably runner-up. He gets himself in towards 3rd place at the moment, but it is DC on top in the one of 2 Toyotas that we've got tonight, and rather uniquely, 2 different Toyotas. You can see there, DC racing in the GT86 car. Compare that to, just seeing where he is, compare that to Meg, who is racing in, I think, the more popular, and what a lot of people on this game will have, as they'll have done the license tests, the much more popular Supra race car that we see. So that is what he has gone for. Be interesting to see which one of the Toyotas turns out to be, yeah, it'd be interesting to see which one of the Toyotas turns out to be the one at the moment, because DC after not having the greatest of results last time out, was Jamie has unfortunately left the room. Hopefully he is able to rejoin. I know rejoining on this game can be a bit of a nightmare, as DC has got himself a time penalty at the moment. And we'll see what Stevie can do. Let's just go on board with the Jaguar driver as he takes us around the end of this circuit. Oh, cutting it pretty close with the track limits then. Not something you want to be doing too often. We'll see what his time is as he heads towards the finish line. He's 3 tenths down at the moment, so this isn't going to be a big improvement. Jaguar looking like quite a thirsty car as well. They're going to have to manage their fuel around here to make sure, well, if they can get it working with the tyre stints, they should be okay. If it doesn't fall nicely with their hard tyre stint, they might be in a bit of trouble with fuel around this circuit. So don't be surprised to see a few drivers lifting and coasting just to try and save any bit of fuel possible. Look how close the times are at the moment. We go as a solid Ninja Steak now goes fastest of everyone on a 1:55.367, just less than a tenth faster than DC12, who is just 0.03 of a second faster than Steve-O. 0.136 seconds faster than Brownski, and then you can say Yavi just 1,000th of a second ahead of Mick McMark. Things very close indeed. The gap between the top 6 is 1/3 of a second. The gap between 6th and 7th is bigger than that, and as we've just gone on board with 7th place, that was Capello who has gone off. So, race getting ready to start then. Full starts will be penalised. Who is going to get the victory around this circuit as qualifying comes to an end? Wait for the lights to come on, people. We have got 5 lights. And we're on the way here. One of the starts like as they make their way down towards the first corner. You can see things are getting pretty close there in the background between Steve-O, Brownski and some of the others. But they've all managed to get their way through that first corner pretty cleanly. And it is solid Ninja Steak in the lead of this race. LJM Steve-O in second place. Brownski in third. DC's got a right battle going on here between himself, Mick McMark and Yarvi, all just trying to follow in each other's slipstream at the moment. We will change the camera angles when we get the opportunity because it's not giving us the dynamic angle at the moment. And there goes Mick McMark. He's going to think about one. Down the inside into the bus stop chicane. This is already a brave move on the first lap of the race. Down the inside goes Mick McMark. He gets himself up in towards 4th place. You can see everyone has started on a set of the hard tyres as we take this opportunity to jump around and just quickly fix that camera angle. But there you can see it is Steve-O in the lead of this race. Ninja Steak in second. Brownski in 3rd place. Keplerio getting pretty close there to the back of Yarvi. Well, getting pretty close to the back of DC. Almost making that move work. And Yarvi getting pretty close to the Italian in the Ferrari, who was obviously unable to race last week, unfortunately, due to some connection issues. But it's been a wild first lap of the race, thankfully. Everyone has managed to make it through cleanly, all the way down to Diogo Mora at the back, obviously trying to make his recovery from last time around, trying to recover from that qualifying ban. We'll see if he can keep things a bit cleaner than he managed on the last occasion. Thinks about throwing one up the inside of B9. Not able to do so. And we have got another new car tonight that we haven't mentioned at the moment, and that is Isunyain. He is the Irishman. He is in the BMW. He's coming under a lot of pressure from MMJ at the moment in time. That is the view from the back of the BMW. That is the view from in front of him. So, interestingly, he has gone for a set of the medium tyres, has Isunyain. So, he needs to make hay while the sun shines and really needs to get some moves done in the early laps of this race as Diogo runs slightly wide. But lap number 1, Steve-O in the lead, Ninja Steak in second, and Brownski in third. And we will see once again if the pace of those Renaults on these tyres, their better tyre life, turns out to be the one over the rest of the night. In fact, you can already just see very slightly, if you look at the fuel gauge, looks like SNS is just saving a bit more than Steve-O in these early stages. On board then with our championship leader, as we said, looking for 4 victories in a row across the 2 seasons, our reigning champion. It is a slightly longer championship than last time out, which is definitely a good thing, I think, for everyone. It does give you that chance to get a bit more into the swing of things, mean you can afford a bad race. All 9 races will count towards the championship. There is also a Constructors' Championship as well, which unsurprisingly, Renault leading that at the moment with 28 points. Jaguar second on 10, Mercedes have 6, Ferrari have 5, Toyota have 2. And obviously, we've also got Porsche in that as well. They have got 7 points at this moment in time. The German mark in 3rd place in this championship as things stand. Porsche out represented by Wedgiebo and B9 a bit further down the back of the order at the moment though for both of them, so wait to see what kind of progress they can make towards the race on a Porsche, which looks not the most difficult of handling cars. There are certainly worse cars out there, I think, to be driving. We will be seeing a few more Porsches if the rumours are to be believed. There is going to be another one getting added to the game next time around. Next time we get a big update. Also going to see the MP4-4 as well, the famous McLaren from the 1988 season. So intrigued to see what that car can do in the grand scheme of things, as it looks like we're just calming down in this race of the moment. Although, as I say that, of course, looks like we're going to get a move in towards turn number 1. BMW versus Renault. Jarl on the inside. Isenjain on the inside. There's been a bit of contact between the two of them, but the BMW does make his way through, and that is Isenjain now in towards the 9th place. Reminder of the point system here in PSGL GT. For anyone who is familiar with our F1 leagues, it is identical to our F1 league. 16 for a win, 12 for second, 10 for third, 8 for fourth, 6 down to 1, for 5 down to 10th, and a bonus point for the fastest lap, which last time around was gotten by Steve-O, and he is keeping that fastest lap at the moment. This Brownski now starting to come under some severe pressure from the Mercedes of Mick McMarkey. View back from the back of the Renault. This is a different performance, obviously, to what we saw Mick have to get forced into doing on last week's race at Kyoto Yamagawa in the reverse format. He started on the mediums after starting on pole position, so really had to gun it at the start of the race, but in the end ended up making 2 pit stops before we'd really seen Ninja, Brownski and Yavi as well make their first stop, and that compromised him, just having to get some moves done on a circuit which is not necessarily the easiest to overtake. And to be perfectly honest, it's not like tonight's is the easiest to overtake around as well. We do see we've seen moves in towards turn number 1, but rather than that, it is going to be a strategical 30-lap race for everyone, with that limitation on stint length as well. I believe it is going to work out, well, it works out as exactly 7.5 laps. I believe it has been rounded up to 8 laps, what the drivers have to do on the mediums and the hard tyres. We didn't see anyone use the softs at Kyoto. We'll see whether anyone decides to be brave and go for a set of the soft tyres tonight, as we now look at the battle between DC12 and Yavi F. These two were completely different orders in the field last time around. It's not the case this time. Does look like we are going to have, thankfully, a much closer race, which is going to be another important thing when it comes to the pit strategies as well. Do you pit to get yourself a bit of free air, knowing that you'll be faster? Do you maybe just try to save a bit of fuel now, so you have to put less fuel in when the race starts, so you don't have to worry about that fuel load? Because, let's face it, the less time you're spending in the pits, the better that is for everyone, as we get a quick reminder of what the fueling rate is going to be in this race at the moment. As we quickly just grab it up on our screen at the moment. 4 litres per second, not the fastest fueling rate in this 30-lap race. Drivers will be, if they can get away with it, they'll be making 1 stop. I think a lot of them, though, will not be able to get away with it, as Isenjain working its way up through the field. While we're talking through that, DC12 has made a mistake. Apologies, we caught it on the screen, but I was too busy looking for the facts there. So, Isenjain has made a move there on DC, who has just made a mistake, and I think this is the first penalty we've seen anyone get in this race. You know what, that Irishman in the BMW might be on the medium tyres. Might not have worked for him fantastically in qualifying, but they're not doing bad for now. And he's just starting to show what he can do, as Jarl also gets ahead of DC12, and B9's going to be closing in rapidly on the run down towards the Heatle there. Just a bit too far behind. Now, this could be an interesting move from B9. Round the outside in towards there. He's been squeezed for all he is worth by DC12, who was not having any of that. No siree. He was fighting for all he's worth there to try and make sure that the Porsche did not get ahead of him. In 11th place at the moment, a stalwart of GT leagues on GT Sport in previous years. Now, obviously, on GT7. I don't think B9 will be too happy with the defensive move that was put on there, as Mick has now got ahead of Brownski, so he's up into 3rd place. Well, that is a better exit out of turn number 2 and heading through the S's for the Renault man. So I think Mick is just going to come under the tiniest bit of trouble there. Looking back from his rear wing. Has got a bit more straight line speed though, naturally. So even with the slipstream of the Renault, you can't get the moves done. And this is the thing about the different cars. Yes, outright pace might be just a bit more to the Renault because it's faster in the corners. Generally though, the easiest way to make an overtake is just out-drag someone either into a corner on the straight or out of the corner. Getting the moves done on the braking is typically quite hard. As that is Gr.4 now with a 1.5 second penalty, which will drop him behind Meg, possibly drop him into the clutches of Gr.4 and Isinyan as well. So that's going to be one to watch out for, to see where Gr.4 comes out. The lone Ferrari this week, we did have Sandiane in the Ferrari last week, who showed decent pace. Unfortunately for Yarne, a couple of mistakes in the race dropped him down in towards 6th, and you can see there, Gr.4 just taking that slow down penalty. The top 2 building a gap though at the front of the field. We're heading on towards lap number 6 very shortly, and it's Steve-O and Solid Ninja Snake now with a 3.2 second gap over the rest of the pack. And Ninja is just starting to gain a bit more time. He's on for a purple lap at the moment. He's been setting PB after PB after PB. The Jaguar, as you'd expect, a tiny bit worse on its tyre wear, but not really anything to shout home about. And there we go, Solid Ninja Snake with the fastest lap of the race. A 1:55.6 on a set of hard tyres is not too shabby of a lap time at all. Brownski too far behind on Mick McMock to go for a move, but it looks like things are close in the background now with Yarhel, Isinyan and B9, who has managed to work his way past DC12 there. So that is B9 up in towards up into 10th place. He's heading towards 9th place. Did seem to get a slightly better exit there than the BMW. Did the Margarita Porsche driver. But the BM getting, in the end, not too bad traction. He is being closed up here. I think you'd have to be a brave one from this far back, though, to give it a move down the inside into the bus stop, into that inner loop. But we'll see whether Isinyan is going to be forced to defend. And yeah, B9, a wise head there. Just sticking it in that position for now, deciding it is not really worth it. And as the tyres start to wear out, I mean, Isinyan's going to be the one in a bit of trouble. He's gone for the mediums now. He's still got to keep them on for another 2.5 laps before he can get rid. I mean, I say that, he's got to keep them on for 2 more laps in this race. If you want to do the mediums 8 laps over various stints, you are allowed to. You're going to be pushing a long, long way in this race on that set of tyres. I can't see anyone managing to pull a one-stop in this race. I think everyone, because of the fuel loads, is just going to have to go for the 2-stop. I don't think it's going to line up nicely with that tyre strategy, which, you know, might mean we don't see as much strategy variation as last time out. Who knows whether we'll see anyone brave the soft tyres, though, if they can. If they can stretch the fuel and the medium tyres out a bit longer, will we see someone go for a sprint on the softs this week? We were thinking about it last week, wondering whether the Renault drivers would need to go onto the soft tyres, but in the end, tyre life on the mediums proved to be more than well enough. As Isinyan still, he had a good start to this lap, but you can see now, half a second down, once the corners have started to come into play, that BMW is struggling more and more, and I feel like it won't be long before B9 starts to think about where he can get the move done, possibly into the loop. Into the loops and into the boot is where he's got the most pace over that BMW at the moment. But you can see here in a straight line, that BMW getting that slipstream off Yarhel, still proving to be a tough competitor as Brownski has dropped even further back. He has now dropped behind Meg, but he's got a chance to try and recover here. Has Brownski round the outside. He's going to be forced to if he wants to go into the bus stop. Brownski, I think tongue-in-cheek earlier in the chat, said he didn't have quite as much pace as last time around. That seems to be the case. He's not really stuck with Mick, who's just on a massive slide coming out of the inner loop there. That's going to be something to watch out for. Hit those curbs too hard, especially once the tyres start to wear out. You could easily lose your car, hit the wall, possibly get yourself a barrier collision penalty as well. But certainly pick yourself up a bit of damage, which will not be ideal. You're going to have to go very slow to try and get rid of that, and could ruin your chances of having a good race. But Mick, who got pole last time out at Kyoto, didn't turn out into a victory. He's tried something different, just doesn't seem to have the pace of those top two. The gap now at the front of the field, well, the gap between Steve-O and Ninja is 7/10 of a second. The gap between Ninja and Mac. 5.2 seconds at the moment, and growing more and more on every single lap. Kepler now in a bit of a world of his own after getting that penalty. Yarvi starting to put in some, trying to put in some pace at the moment. He's trying to drag Yarhel along with him, and still B9 and Wedgiebo, who we've not spoke about too much, but Wedgiebo has managed to make a move on DC12 as well, and that's B9 just thinking about slowing one up the inside at the end of the boot section. Not able to do so. I think if there was more runoff area, you might have been inclined to just go for it there, but you can just see this BMW got no pace whatsoever on those medium tyres at the moment, and this should be one of the more straightforward overtakes we see in the evening. B9 to the inside, he's got the inside line, he's got the extra grip on the tyres, and he's going to have 9th place as well. Thank you very much, says the American. He takes 9th from the Porsche, and that pace from the BMW that we were seeing earlier on is now just starting to falter as the mediums go away from him. Do not be surprised if he comes in at this lap. As in all of that, Wedgie's actually picked up a 0.5 second penalty. We'll get it right eventually, so a 0.5 second penalty there for Wedgiebo. That's going to drop him further down the order. We'll drop him down actually to, I believe, we'll drop him down to nearly last place, because MMJ has, I'm not sure if he's had a spin or if he's had a pit stop at the moment, because those tyres, yeah, they look about the same way as everyone else. I think he's had a, looking at those lap times, he's had a couple of mistakes in a few laps on this race, or possibly, with lines like that, possibly picking up a few penalties, which it's a shame, but this track does bite, as we've already seen when it comes to getting penalties. I think we've seen more penalties this week than we saw in the entirety of last week. So, as Diogo there round the outside of Wedgiebo, that's a brave move. If he can make it work, the Portuguese driver's going to get the place anyway, thanks to the penalty system later on. Well, that is beautiful from Diogo Morva. How on earth he pulled that one out? Diogo Morva up into 12th place. Take a bow, sir. Maybe, just, well, his Renault is starting to come into things a bit more. We'll see now whether him and DC12 can, oh, just into the back of DC there goes Diogo, who have given him a compliment. I think that's a bit more of a touring car pass, and that is not going to go well there. Down the inside goes the Portuguese driver on the Spaniard. The battle of the Iberians. I don't think DC is going to be very happy with that whatsoever, as Isunyan, unsurprisingly, on those mediums, which are absolutely gone, is our first driver into the pit. Wait and see what tyres he's going to go on to as well. If I was him, I'd be tempted to only put on a bit of fuel and put on another set of mediums right now, or obviously fill it up a lot more, go for a set of hards, and then splash and dash later in the race. And it looks like it's going to be the latter of them. As, oh, Steve-O's off! Race leader's got off at the bus stop. Just caught the tail end of that. Steve-O's gone straight on, gets a 1 second penalty. That could be a big C in this race, because Ninja Steak has now escaped at the front of the field. Solid Ninja Steak into the lead of this race. Meg's managed to get ahead of Mick McMock as well. That Toyota working pretty well, and Mick's dropped back into the clutches of Brownstein, so I wonder whether we've seen a mistake from him as well. But Steve-O on the into the bus stop chicane, just a bit deep into the first part. That cost you into the second part, and Steve-O gets a 1 second penalty as well. Just because it is a 1 second slowdown, do not think it only cost you 1 second. You can see there, it's costing more like 2. Steve-O is now 4 seconds, well, as near as makes no difference, 4 seconds off the lead of this race. Solid Ninja Steak will be very happy indeed with how that's worked out. He'll have wanted to obviously have a battle out on track. I don't think he'll complain too much at being gifted. I don't think there's another word. He has been gifted the lead of this race there. That is a big, big mistake from Steve-O. We'll have to see if he can continue on. Well, he will be able to continue on, but has he dirtied up those tyres? It shouldn't be a tyre wear issue at all. The Jaguar that you can see there should still have plenty of tyres left. Yeah, big, big mistake from what was our race leader. There's Brownstein now all over the back of Mick McMock. Is this going to be a move in towards the turn number 1? Not this time, but they're all getting very close together, these three at the moment, and Mick might have just made a mistake there. I think he started attacking Meg, just went a bit deep into the corner. Thank you very much, says Brownski. That is 4th place for the man who finished in 3rd last time around, and he's not too far off getting 3rd this time around. He's all over the back of Meg. I think he's too far back to have a go into the bus stop, but that was very nicely orchestrated from the Renault driver. Takes that 4th place, and Mick just has to settle in towards 5th. So we are starting to see a few more of those tiny mistakes creeping in, really, from every driver at the moment. We're seeing that odd little issue. We've seen Brownski go off. We've seen Capello go off. We saw Mick, you know, drop behind Meg, and also there just make a tiny mistake to drop in towards 5th place. So it is going to be a hard race to keep it clean, and if you do so, you might just end up being in the best place to take a victory. And that looks like being Solid's place at the moment, but you can see now that Meg's starting to defend from Brownski. That's allowing the top 2 and Steve-O especially to recover and break away once more. This could be another opportunity though for Brownski. He's going to have to go the long way round in towards the hairpin at the heel. Don't think that's going to work. Cuts back to the inside. Very nice cut back there from Brownski. If he can make that one work. Meg's run off the circuit. Not sure whether there was a tiny bit of contact in that, and I think Meg's still going to be halfway up the inside, but has to yield. Very good lap there from Brownski. 2 places gained in 1 lap. He's up to 3rd place. And Meg, unfortunately for him, whether he was tapped off track or not, I'm not sure. Unfortunately for him, that does give him a 2-second penalty, and that will drop him behind Mick Mark if he doesn't already lose that place. But will very possibly drop him behind Capello as well, as I think Mick is going to have the better run here on the Finnish driver in towards turn number 1. That Toyota's got some very solid straight line speed though, and he's able to hold on into 4th, but he will lose that down between the toe and the heel on the next lap. Number 11 we're on, out of 30. This race is flying by, no sign of the leaders coming into the pits. A solid ninja stake, thanks to the mistake from Steve-O. Now it's a 3.5 second lead. Really able to hug the inside part of the inner loop there. Very nicely done from Ninja. Not sure that's the fastest way, but definitely the most stable way of getting your car around. And I think now that he's made that mistake, Steve-O has recovered well, and he's just trying to take everything out of those tyres, I think, to get onto the back of Ninja, because he might be able to save a tiny bit of fuel on the back of the Renault, and at the moment he needs to save a bit more fuel than the Renault. Wouldn't surprise me if Ninja's just got 1, possibly even 2 more laps of fuel left in that Renault at the moment, which could be ideal. Still don't think he's going to be able to push it in towards 1 stop territory. But if Steve-O can, maybe now, just push a bit more out of his tyres, get onto the back of the Renault, we know this extreme is very useful for saving fuel, lifting and coasting, you know, in towards turn 1, in towards the bus stop, in towards the toe and the heel as well. Could just make that big difference in this race, as yeah, you can see now that he's free of Meg, who has dropped behind Capello. Brownski got a bit of his own space, so can he make it a double podium as well? As things stand at the moment, he would not take 2nd place in the championship, because Steve-O did get the fastest lap on the previous occasion, and Yavi, who finished 2nd, just not having, for whatever reason, we're seeing similar names up towards the front. The big exception is Yavi in that 7th place. For whatever reason, he's just not able to get the Renault hooked as well as he was last week. 18 seconds already off the lead. That's heading towards pit stop territory, to be honest. But he's still putting in reasonable laps. 1:57, so he's doing consistently. And you can see from those lap times on the right-hand side of the screen, 57.3, 57.9, 57.2, 57.8, 57.3. As the fuel burns off, it's sort of being negated, obviously, by the tyre wear. So very different to what you see in our other leagues in F1, where there is no refueling. Tyre wear is much more of an important factor, and you're generally faster at the start of a stint. In this, it's a bit more balanced. So tyres, the hards don't wear much whatsoever. You can comfortably do a full race distance on the hards, and I think a lot of these drivers would, if it wasn't for that compulsory fact that you need to do 25% race distance, so rounded up to 8 laps for here. You have to do 8 laps on the hards and 8 laps on the medium tyres. We've only seen one driver do 8 laps on the mediums at the moment, and that is this man, the BMW in last place, Isenyain. Glad to say, though, still got all 14 out of 14 runners, so everyone carrying on at the moment, and Isenyain did go for a bigger fuel load, did go for those hard tyres. I think, judging by the fact that he didn't absolutely brim the tank, I think we are going to see mediums again from the BMW later on. Just take a look now at this battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. Capello, another one who's picked up a few penalties in this race, starting to get himself now back into more contention, staying in around the 156ers, over a second a lap faster than Mick on each of the previous 2 laps, is some achievement. Now that he's stuck behind the Mercedes though, he'll be wondering what he can do. That Ferrari, I've just noticed, that is a thirsty car. He needs to think about some fuel saving, or he's going to have to, I mean, yeah, he's going to have to make 2 stops no matter what, but he is really going to be losing a lot of time in the pits compared to everyone else. Just stationary, putting that 4 litres a second in the Ford Ferrari. Maybe this is what they would have looked like if they had made that merger in the 60s, with the famous film, of course, with Matt Damon in it. The inspired by the Ford GTE livery there on Gr.4's Ferrari, but that's the 458 not really enjoying things in terms of fuel load at the moment, and not enjoying things in terms of the pressure he's been putting on. Meg is going to go for this round the outside into the bus stop. Would be a very brave move from Meg if he could pull it off, and no, just understandably backs into place for now, but that should give him a bit of exit. Can he get alongside? Not on this occasion. I think the cars, they jump around on my screen. They don't tend to jump around as much on what the drivers can see at the moment, but it is quite jumpy, so unfortunately the moves that they want to make at that close proximity aren't as easy as the other ways might be. There is an update coming soon, hopefully that might make the lobbies a bit more stable, because I think otherwise we would really get some great racing for the remaining 3 races of this season. B9 just sort of in a world of his own at the moment. He's got ahead of Jarl, so he is up in towards 9th place. Jarl there in 10th. DC in 11th place at the moment. Wedgiebo in 12th with a 1.5 second penalty that he will have to take at the slowdown line. MMJ also with a 1.5 second penalty in 13th. And Izunyain in 14th. The only driver who has been into the pits. The only driver that has done that compulsory 8 laps on the mediums. Everyone else, as our race leader, comes on to lap number 14 with no real sign of slowing down. In fact, he's got into the 155s for the first time since lap number 9. Everyone else has done that 8 compulsory laps on the hard tyres, and Solid taking advantage of what the track limits let you do around here. It wasn't mentioned in the briefing. He is now 4 seconds into the lead of this race as another thirsty car is the Toyota of Meg. Into the pits he comes, and lap number 14 for him. Might be tempted. Might just think about going for a set of the mediums here. Try to stretch them 9 laps and then an 8 lap stint on the 8 lap stint, sorry, on the mediums at the end of this race. That might be the way to go, because he's definitely going to have to pit again. Can't take the medium 17 laps no matter what. And saying he's had to pit now, fuel load suggests that he's going to have to pit pretty early. So we'll wait and see what tyres and fuel load he has gone for as Meg makes his way down the pit lane, drops himself into 13th. It's going to be pretty close with Izunyain here on the exit of the pit, so we'll just wait and see as he's got his windscreen wipers going. Not sure that's going to be necessary, as it is going to be a dry race. As you can see, that Toyota there just exited the pit lane now, and Meg has come out on a set of mediums and has gone for full fuel in his car. I think I'd have rather gone for less fuel, just to try and get a bit more life out of those tyres that are not quite warmed up at the moment, and the BMW is well aware of that fact. This is only for 13th and 14th, but Meg needs to hold on to this position. He does not want to be passed by the Irishman. And it looks like he's got a bit more temperature in those tyres now, and Izunyain is just going to have to settle, as that is a big curb up there for Meg. Would not surprise me. We saw a little penalty pop up on his screen, because I think he took about 2 wheels on the grass also. No, looks to have got away with it, so Meg now in 13th on the mediums. First driver we've seen go from the hard to the mediums, but with that full fuel load, getting decent tyre wear out of them is going to be a bit of a challenge, I feel. As we come back to what is still our main battle out there on the circuit, Brownski's absolutely driven away as Keplerio into the pits. Keplero GT _ into the pits in the Ferrari after 14 laps. Hard tyres going off. I imagine again it will be medium tyres on, and we'll see whether he goes for the same tactic as we saw from the Supra of MMJ earlier on. Will the Italian put lots of fuel in so he doesn't have to fuel at his next stop, or will he just put a tiny bit in, enough to get the life in the medium tyres, which is a shorter pit stop, and you'll be faster? That looks like a much shorter pit stop from Keplero than what we saw from Meg, so I think that's certainly the right thing to do. in the Ferrari. Now, it will be 8 laps on the mediums this time, and it will probably be 8 laps on the mediums next time around. And you can see there, has gone for less fuel, has gone for the medium tyres. So that is Gr.4 in 11th place. Got to keep it careful on the pit exit and the pit entry. The game is very harsh with the penalties it does give around this circuit. So that is something that everyone needs to be aware of. We go back towards our race leader, nearly at the halfway point. Solid Ninja Snake now with a 5-second lead in this race. Is it worth Steve-O trying something different? We think because of the fuel, he is going to have to pit earlier anyway. The longer they can get these tyres, the more of a possible medium soft stint towards the end becomes a feasibility. So whether Steve-O, do you go for a splash and dash now and put the soft tyres on and then put your 8 laps on mediums at the end of the race, or do you do your 8 laps on the mediums now and then go for the splash and dash later on? My personal preference is always to do it later on and have the fastest tyres on at the end of the race. I imagine that is what these drivers will do, but they could put me wrong. It could be worth, especially if you are Steve-O at the moment, who's, like you can just see, hemorrhaging 1.2 seconds on the last lap. That F-Type Jag losing to the Renault. I think Ninja's just checked out at the moment, and I'm not sure there's a lot anyone can really do about it. I mean, Brownski and Jarvi, who showed decent pace last week. Brownski's on his own at 3rd place. He had that wobble in the middle of the race where he dropped outside of the top 5, but at the halfway point, he looks really solid for a podium. Mock nowhere near him. He's now under no pressure. Jarvi in 5th place. Diogo Mora in 6th. Having a much better race in the yellow and black Renault is Diogo. I must say, had connection issues or whatever last time around, but Diogo doing a splendid job at the moment in 6th place. Could he be a bit of a dark horse to get himself further up the field later? B9 is 7th. Yarmel in 8th. DC12 after a promising start is now down in 9th. Winchabo is 10th. Gr.4, our first of the drivers who was pitted, is 11th. Meg is 12th. Isenine is 13th. And there is MMJ, who still has to come into the pits. And he's got no choice now because the McLaren has ran out of fuel. He's not timed that one very well, has he? MMJ coasts into the pits. Been a bit of a baptism of fire for the German, unfortunately. Into the pits at the end of lap number 15 for him. Hard tyres off, medium tyres going on. You can see he's had a few scrapes with the wall as well. Hopefully, the German will get a bit more grip from that set of the mediums. But everyone's really spaced out there on the circuit at the moment. I'm starting to see drivers using more and more fuel. Interestingly, that Diogo's used a lot more than the other Renaults that we could see. He's flashing red at the moment. Jarvi, nowhere near flashing red. And I said the one stop wasn't on. If Jarvi can just save a bit more fuel, and if the mediums are as nice a tyre as they were last week, if Jarvi can get 21 laps out of these hard tyres, he could do 9 laps on the mediums. He could one-stop this race, the Argentine driver. Maybe, just maybe, Jarvi's pulling a bit of a blinder here. That could, I don't think it'll see him get the win, but it could see him get a podium. Steve-O, his pit crew come in after getting rid of those hard tyres at the end of lap number 16. Mediums will be going on. I'm almost certain of it. And we'll see where this drops him out. We'll drop him into free air behind Diogo in 6th place. So pretty much perfect to where he wanted to be. Should still come out ahead of B9 and Jarvel. And there you go. It is the medium tyres on to do those compulsory 8 laps. Interesting that he's not gone for quite half a tank there. So whether he had any more fuel in the bag or whether he's prepared to do a bit more fuel saving in this stint and possibly some tyre saving as well remains to be seen. But Steve-O, he's gone for the mediums now. Going for that set of the medium tyres. 8 laps possibly to do on them. And then 8 again. Well, no, it'll be 6 laps towards the end of the race that he'll be doing on the mediums. Don't think you'll be able to get the soft tyres, definitely from the bit of practice that I did. Don't think getting a soft tyre 6 laps is going to be massively feasible. Ooh, Diogo gets a penalty, so he's clearly pushing hard on his last bit of tyres at the moment. Solid Ninja Snake is now clear at the front of the field. 11 seconds. 17 laps he's done in that Renault. Will we see our race leader, our championship leader, coming to the pits? He is well on his way to a 4th victory in a row across for 2 seasons. 32. Well, he's on for 32 out of a possible 34 points so far this season. Meg has the fastest lap at the moment, and Steve-O got it last week. As into the pits comes our race leader, and I think we might be seeing Brownski following him in as well. Although if he's brave, Brownski could go that 1 lap longer, although I'm not sure how much he'll gain from that, to be honest. And no, yeah, well, he actually is. There we go, Brownski going for glory at the moment, so we've got a different race leader. It's been Steve-O and Solid Ninja Steak battling in the lead at the moment, but Brownski takes the lead of this race. Mick McMock also coming in from the Mercedes, so he's managed 17 laps on those. Yarvi's got plenty. He has got plenty of tyres left at the moment. He's got plenty of fuel left as well. As we'll see where Yarvi comes out. He's going to be, I think he is going to drop in ahead of Solid Ninja Steak. Indeed he is. So there we go. Yarvi is in second place. Steve-O is in third. And he has jumped the Renault driver. Steve-O back into the net lead of this race. We said pitting a lap earlier, getting that undercut, getting those fresh medium tyres on might be the tactic for Steve-O to do. He has done so. And he has gained a lot. And Ninja, he's put a lot more fuel in that Renault. Is he also thinking, I could stretch these mediums out for one stop in this race? Because that is a lot of fuel to put in that car. Whether that then means on his second stop he's not bothering to put any in, and it is going to be, you know, possibly 5 laps on the softs and then done, we'll have to wait to see. But Ninja's put a lot of fuel in that car. I'm not sure, far be it from me to criticise a man who's the reigning champion and leading this championship at the moment, but I'm still not sure going for the heavy fuel at this point in the race really makes sense, unless you're trying to stretch this out right towards the end of the race, like what we think Yarvi might be trying to do with a 1 stop, although I think he's going to come rather frustratingly short, because 10 laps on the mediums is going to be a bit of a tough ask, and I don't think you can quite stretch that extra lap out of the fuel load to make it what would be a very achievable 9 laps, as we saw some of the others do last week. Bit of a developing battle now for 5th place between the Porsche of B9 and the one of the many Renault Megans we've got of Yarhel this time around. 5th and 6th at the moment. Both of these yet to pit. They've got Gr.4 behind them, who is just who pitted as well. He's on the medium, so he's flying around. And correct me if I'm wrong, that puts Gr.4. We'll wait and see here. Would not surprise me if we get this Ferrari as he makes a bit of a mistake there coming out of the heel. We'll wait and see if he gets a penalty. Would not surprise me if Gr.4, now that he's set the fastest lap of the race, can possibly jump Brownski into pits and get himself into a net podium place. He's had a bad lap on this occasion, 1.4 off his personal best, which will still be slightly quicker than what Brownski was doing. He's on his way out of the pits as he's just started lap number 19. We'll have to wait, obviously. It feels like an age for them to come down the pit lane. Yarvel stays out another lap. B9 into the pits as well in his Porsche. Here comes Gr.4. Are we going to see where the Renault is? And I think Brownski, there we go. That's how close things are going to be here. Gr.4 versus Brownski. The Ferrari's got the extra pace. And Gr.4 is up into 5th. He's in a net P3 at the moment, but with a lot more life taken out of those tyres. How long will it be before the Renault is able to strike back? Brownski drops towards 6th. Gr.4 in 5th. The only men ahead of him there to pit is Yarvi and Yarvel. So those two, the Argentine drivers for the Ultimatum X Sports squad, doing a good job on their tyre and fuel management at the moment. This is clearly something that they've worked on, although I think in the last few laps, Yarvi has started to find it a bit more of a task. But even if he is still going for the 1 stop, this is less fuel he has to put in. So stretching that fuel load out is not a bad thing whatsoever. Just don't think he's had the pace tonight while doing this strategy to maybe give himself a podium. We'll wait and see how things go later on. He is currently 23.8 seconds ahead of Gr.4. He's also catching up to Yarvel. DC12, he's yet to come into the pits. He is in 7th place in that GT86 car, that Toyota. So I think we'll be seeing him into the pits sooner rather than later. Meg in 8th, he was challenging for a podium earlier, but the Supra is thirsty. This was something I experienced yesterday while I was just getting a feel for the circuit. The Supra is a thirsty car. That made Meg pit earlier than everyone else. And as you can see, he's already really worn the best life out of those tyres. And I think he's going to have Mick McMock coming onto the back of him. Ijanine now in 10th place. Diogo Moura, he's had his pit stop. He's 11th. B9, Wedgebo, and MMJ, who is currently a lap down, but he's still going. You never know what could happen. Connection issues, big accidents, rage quits. All things that we see, unfortunately, in league racing. And all things that could really spice things up at the moment. And talking of spicing things up, Brownski down the inside, in towards turn number 1, uses that extra pace on the medium tyres. And that is one of the cleanest moves I think we've seen all series. Very nicely done from the Renault Megane driver. He gets himself up into 4th place. Can Gr.4 though fight back? He's looking pretty damn quick at the moment. Is that Ferrari in a straight line? Brownski's going to just hug the right hand side. Is Gr.4 they're going to get ahead before we even get towards the bus stop? Has he got the pace? Has he got the traction? Can he outbrake the Renault on the outside line? Ooh, thinks about going side by side, but I think quite wisely decides discretion is the better part of valour in that. So great move there from Brownski. He gets himself into 4th place, just sticking out those extra few laps on his tyres, proving to be the right call. We are now on lap number 20 of this race. 10 more laps to go at the end of this one. Here is your race leader. I think only until the end of this lap, because I will be expecting Jarvi to dive into the pits very shortly. He is leading after doing an astonishing 20 laps on the same fuel load. Got to doff your cap to him if he can get 10 laps out of the mediums. Oh, that's MMJ in the background who's had a big hit with the wall. If you get 10 laps out of these mediums, he could still get a very decent point score here. So Jarvi is on his way into the pits. Steve-O then will take the lead of this race. This is now going to be the battle to watch out for. Steve-O versus Ninja Snake. Last lap around, they were almost identical lap times. On lap number 20 though, solid Ninja Snake able to find some big pace. 1.1 seconds, clearly because he wasn't stuck in the traffic. So getting that free air, getting that little bit of, don't know whether to say good luck for SNS, bad luck for Steve-O. Makes all the difference in league racing as, oh, MMJ. He's the first one to leave the race, unfortunately. MMJ, I was commending him for how well he stuck things. He will get a qualifying ban. If that proves to be, he's just pit and quit or rage quit. Well, there we go. He is out of this race, prodding us down to just 13 runners. It doesn't seem to be a track that is suiting the Porsches at the moment. We've only got 2 of them in this series. Both of them are currently outside the points, but I still wouldn't write them off yet, as there's a lot of early pitters in front of them who might be struggling more on tyres at the end of this race. Here is Jarvel though, all over the back of B9 at the moment, on his first lap outside of the pits. They're very similar on tyre life, they're very similar on fuel load as well. And Jarvel just not able to get close enough, just not quite got the sufficient grip on those tyres and the pace he needs to put in that move for now. But only 10 laps to go for these guys. It's been a fascinating race so far. Thankfully nowhere near as many issues as we had last time out at Kyoto. Jarvel has got a bit of a run here, but all B9 has to do is defend the inside in towards the bus stop, and in the end everything's balanced itself out. Obviously slipstream and dirty air a lot less powerful in these cars than you see in some other series, as Jarvel tries to take a bit more curb in the UXS Megane, just tries to find some more grip, some more pace, some more anything at the moment to get himself ahead of the Porsche, because he certainly looks to be faster. As the late great Mummy Walker said though, catching is one thing, overtaking is quite another, and that is what Jarvel is finding at the moment. Jarvi finding that as well. He's come out in 9th place on his fresh tyres, all over the back of Diogo Mora, battling just for the 8th and 9th at the moment. Meg not too far up the road. Look at the state of those medium tyres. Look at the state of that front left especially. You know, through turn number 1, through the chute, through the final corner. It takes some severe hammering, does that front left-hand tyre. And, yeah, makes it a bit of a struggle town at the moment. So, well, bravo SFDC12, actually. Did not realise he had not yet come into the pit. So 21 laps on that set of tyres. DC12's going to get a 1-stop. Thought he was having a bad race with how everything was working this out. But there you go. He's come out, splash and dash, mediums on. Not in a bad place. Isenjine having to take his 2nd stop at the same time as DC12 takes his first. This will be, I imagine, a gain. Medium tyres on that BMW. The only driver who did start on a set of the medium. So he's got a bit more of experience of how they work, as the pneumatic hoses go flailing in the wind here at Watkins Glen. Still got his windscreen wipers on and still not quite sure why that is the thing. But DC12 and Isenjine now making their way out to the pit lane in 12th and 13th place. Not ahead of me. I'm not in the race, of course. I'm definitely sticking to the commentary box, sticking to how things are going at the front of this race. Steve-O now is still ahead of solid Ninja Snake. He's recovered his pace after that lap in the traffic, but the gap is 3.6 seconds. I don't think we can only be maybe another lap or 2 away from Steve-O coming into the pits off that set of the medium tyres. Now, do you go mediums once more? or do you go for a set of softs? If he wants to, I believe if he wants to carry on a set of the medium tyres, he can pit now. If he wants to go for softs at the end of this race, to do his compulsory 8 laps, he's going to have to come in on at least lap number 24. So only 2 more laps to do on those mediums if he wants to get the softs towards the end. But I'm not sure that is going to be the way things are going to work for him. And I'm just starting to get a feeling that Ninja, Brownski are seriously starting to consider this one-stop strategy. They tricked me last week. Once bitten, twice shy, you'd think. And they might be tricking me again here. Brownski, I don't think he's going to do enough to get a second place. As Gr.4 now comes in for his second stop, as we've got a brilliant battle here between Meg and Yarvi. There we go, Yarvi. This should be fairly straightforward because Meg has got no grip whatsoever in those tyres. Very comfortable on the brakes for the Argentine driver. And that is Yarvi. We said he's one to watch out for. His mediums have got plenty of life. He's in the top 5 at the moment. Could he even still jump Mick McMock, who's going to come into the pits? And will he be safe for when Gr.4 and the rest come out? There is Gr.4 on his way down the pit lane. Fresh tyres on. Bit more fuel put in the Ferrari. 8 laps more to go on those medium tyres, and this is going to drop him down. Ooh, he's going to be pretty close with Wedgiebo there on the exit. He'll be hoping he gets that move done. Does he? No. No. Wedgiebo has jumped ahead of Gr.4 in that pit stop period. The last thing the Ferrari wanted to see was one of the, no offence to Wedgiebo, but a slower car, certainly in today's race, ahead of him. That is just, he's going to spend the entire boot section stuck behind that Porsche unless he goes for a very brave move on the fresher tyres. And that is going to cost him a lot of pace. And he's still in a potential battle here. Not possibly for a podium, I don't think, anymore, but definitely for a 4th place, Gr.4. So, one to watch out for. How many moves can Gr.4 make in the final laps of this race? 7 and a bit to go. That is, I was about to say Steve-O's in the lead, but lap number 23, he is in. And if my maths is correct, this is going to have to be another set of the medium tyres. Bit more fuel going into that car as well. Steve-O now, he'll drop down to 3rd place. Think he should still stay ahead of Mick and Yarvi. Definitely should, because Mick still has to come into the pits. It is a long pit lane here when you count in all the fuel that they have to take on as well. But Steve-O, mediums on, fueled up towards the end of the race. The 2-stop strategy, which we thought was going to be the one everyone has to do, could still get Steve-O a podium here. He's going to be close with Mick McMock, in fact, on the exit. We're going to go on board with the Mercedes man now. There's the Jaguar on the inside line. Yeah, the Jag has managed to keep things clear. Meg comes into the pits off his mediums. He'll be going on another set of those towards the end of this race, so he'll drop, I believe, outside the points at the moment. It is now, as it was last week. We had a Renault 1-2-3 last week. We've only got a Renault 1-2 at the moment. Solid Ninja Stake leading by 16 seconds. Surely now for him, it is just a case of managing those medium tyres. Or, if he doesn't want to do that, he's got to do a few more laps. He's got to get to lap number 25 on them. And then he can do splash and dash for a set of the softs at the end of the race. And he would have some mighty pace. It's just whether he'll have enough pace to catch up to Steve-O. We've got the different strategies that we love to see here on GT7. Which one is going to come out on top? Find out in probably about 12 or 13 minutes time. Crucial for Steve-O that he came out ahead of Mick. He's still going to be in a good position to set the fastest lap. Got the fastest lap point last time at Kyoto. Not that it was a little consolation for a man who felt he possibly deserved 2nd place if it wasn't for incidents. Could still get 2nd place now, but he is going to have to go like stink. He's 30 seconds off the lead of this race. He's 13.2 off the back of Brownski. He's got some moves to do. If he wants to get a podium, well, to get a 2nd place, he's going to have to gain just over 2 seconds a lap and then make an overtake. In a car's which tyres are going to be very second-hand at the end of the race. Yes, Brownski's tyres aren't going to be fantastic either. It's going to be a big ask, and I'm now starting to think that Brownski might be able to hold on to that 2nd place. Yarvi all over the back of Mick, who I think is just trying to stretch those medium tyres out to possibly consider a set of softs at the end of this race, but the Renault driver's got a lot more traction off that corner. And he's going to have more pace on the brakes as well. Down the inside goes Yarvi. We've seen a few more moves into turn number 1 once you've got the tyre advantage. And that is Yarvi now in towards 4th. I don't think he's going to have the pace to catch up to Steve-O. But he's proved me wrong after a difficult start to the race. Was just saving a bit more fuel, I think, than some of the other drivers around him. Yarvel, the other UXS car, was doing a similar thing. It's proven to be the right strategy for them. Can't really argue with the results. Have got themselves up to 4th and 6th at the moment. It's just whether Yarvel is able to hold off the advances of some of the others, like Gr.4 GT, who was in 11th last time we looked at him. Thanks to all the pit stops rearranging, the Ferrari is now in 8th. He's started to put B9 under a few more pressure. Let's go for a helmet cam view with the Ferrari driver at the moment. There is his target of the Porsche just up ahead of him. No gap on the inside line, but fastest laps of the race at the moment. And he has got a lot more pace as things stand. Looking very nice is this Ferrari. Don't think he's going to get the fastest lap because he is going to lose out in the traffic, but should have the pace to get the move done. Can he go round the outside of here? This would be a very fantastic move on the brakes, round the outside. Supreme grip, supreme confidence from the Ferrari, and supreme trust as well that B9 wouldn't just try and force him off road there. And that is Gr.4 up into 7th. How high up the order can he get? He's should be able to get Yarvel, and Mick's going to have to, I'm 99% certain, get rid of those medium shod tyres, but might not have to put a lot of fuel in, but might be able to go on the softs right until the end of this race. So Mick staying out a bit longer. He's just, the longer it goes, the more I'm wondering, with a 23-second gap behind him, is Mick really seriously considering stretching out these medium tyres? I mean, 3 seconds off his personal best. 158.549 on the last lap. Yarvel made a slight mistake on the previous one, so on number 24, so we didn't really get to see the best of what he can do. We'll get a more representative idea this time, but yeah, mixed tyres are going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of rubber on them at the end of this race, but Yarvel's not really, you know, setting the timing screens alight there. 158.394, he's only gained a 10th and a half on that lap. Mick might be able to hold on a one stop in the Mercedes, and that is not something I expected to be saying tonight, especially not after how things went last week. On the last lap though, Steve-O gaining 1.2 seconds on Brownski. He's not gaining enough at the moment, but the Renault tyres will hit that cliff. The proverbial cliff that everyone knows about in league racing, no matter what game you do, no matter if it's F1, GT7, you know, Assetto Corsa, iRacing, Race Room, all the different ones, R-Factor 2 as well. Once they start falling off, they fall off in a big way. On a lot of games at the moment, it is a bit more linear towards the end of the stint how things fall off. To be perfectly honest with you, on Gran Turismo, so it's sort of a gentle cliff, a hill, I suppose is a better word for it. But Brownski's tyres will be suffering for that. Steve-O's will as well, but Steve-O's starting from a higher base. He's starting from a better position at the moment. I just don't think he's going to make this work. The supreme just fuel saving and tyre saving ability of the Renaults is proving to be the right way, but they've got pace as well, because, you know, Ninja's done the same thing that Yarvi's done. He's 33 seconds ahead of him at the moment. To say this is just down to the car for why Ninja Snake is winning by 16 seconds at the moment, I think would be doing the reigning champion quite a big disservice, as Meg sets the fastest lap of the race in that Supra. He has gone for the softs. Yeah, that's brave. That is early to go for a set of the soft tyres. I think Meg could be struggling by the end of the stint, to be honest. That's a very nice Ferrari. Very nice Toyota, sorry. Just saw red and instantly went for Ferrari. The Supra eating its tyres, drinking its fuel. I think very soon stealing 10th place off Wedgiebo. Not enough of an advantage to get the move done there. You can see he's got a few scrapes on his splitter in various battles he's been having in this race, but Meg should soon be easily able to take that 10th place off Wedgiebo, who again in that Porsche is just trying to stretch those tyres down towards the end of the race. B9 trying a similar thing, and that's going to cost him a place. Down the inside goes DC12. Another driver who did a supreme job earlier on the fuel load, and that is for Spaniard now up into 8th place. Can he catch onto the back of Yarvel? And I've got to apologise to Yarvel. I did call him Argentinian earlier. He's of course Honduran. So Yarvel doing very well there. And if you're wondering where I know these flags from, just FIFA. That's the main reason. FIFA and too much time spent staring at a world map rather than listening in geography. Stay in school, kids. 7th, 8th and 9th though, looking like a very handy battle at the moment. DC12 should have the pace over Yarvel. at the moment. He's looked to have been faster through the most of the race, and you'd expect B9 to just drop off. This is only for 1 point, with Gr.4 being a bit further ahead, now in that 6th place. I think now in the best place he can hope for. He's got to hope mixed tyres just die completely. He did gain 3 seconds on the last lap, did the Ferrari. He's got to really hope those tyres completely die, or that there's a mistake to come. Because otherwise, I think Gr.4, 6th place, he won't be too disappointed with. But I think, a bit like what we see from Steve-O, knows that they had the pace for this to be a much better result. And where would Steve-O be if it wasn't for that mistake earlier on? Lost 5 seconds. Let's not forget, in the first few laps of this race, Steve-O lost 5 seconds after running off track at the bus stop. Got himself a time penalty as well. If it wasn't for that, he'd be all over the back of Brownski and very possibly looking a shoe-in for that 2nd place. At the moment, he's now got invisible down the back straight as Brownski heads into that inner loop bus stop. He is now visible in the windscreen of the Jaguar. But just, he's going to be tantalising with close at the end. I just don't quite think he's going to be close enough, and no one is going to be close enough to this man. Can anyone stop him for the rest of the season? A reminder, very quickly, as we are in the final laps of this race, what the calendar is going to look like for the rest of the season, because next time out we are heading to Dragon Trail, not the famous circuit of the seaside that most people know with its own bus stop, and a very deadly bus stop indeed. It is the Garden Circuit, in what is going to be our first of 2 guaranteed wet races this season. So how will the drivers cope around there? And that means none of this minimum tyre life malarkey for any of the drivers to cope with. They can just go flat out for all 33 laps. Watch out for that one. Then we'll have a break week. Can anyone stop Ninja Snake winning before we get into the break week? He's 2 laps away from making it 2 out of 2 in Season 2 of Tier 2. And the moves at the moment. DC12 has got ahead of Yarville then. So, Toyota is up into 7th place. But he's got himself a 1.5 second penalty at the same time. So he's going to have to slow down on this straight. And that is just going to be, thank you very much, says Yarville. I will take that place back. As he's going to be able to build up enough of the gap. He'll still be safe to beat 9. We've now got Diogo Morva all of a sudden up in towards 10th place. Don't write off Diogo here from getting ahead of B9 as well. But the softs on Meg's car have completely dropped off. Izanine in 12th place. Medium, hard, really not the strategy that he needed to go for. And Wedgibo, he's decided to have a bit of fun in the Porsche. Realised he wasn't getting any points, and who could blame him? If he takes the fastest lap, it won't gain him a point. You have to finish in the top 10. But it will steal that point ahead. Well, Meg's already stolen it away from any of the leaders. So we're not going to see a fastest lap point today. Who is going to get the fastest lap though between Wedgibo and Meg? That's their own little battle going on between the Porsche and the clock at the moment. As long as he doesn't get lapped, which should not be too much of an issue given the pace he's got at the moment. Yarvi, very solid drive, very lonely second half of the race. Sort of just dropped down the field earlier on, but 4th, going with that 2nd place last time around, is, I believe, going to keep him 3rd in the championship at the moment. And him, Brownski and Steve-O looking like they're having a very fun best of the rest battle at this moment in time, as it only took 29 laps for the bots to find us, ladies and gentlemen. It's not too bad compared to normal. But heading around the final corners for the penultimate time, Solid Ninja Snake leads us onto the final lap of the race. He's got enough fuel, he's got enough tyre life. The one stop's proven to be the way again. And ever since that mistake, no one has really been able to challenge him. Can DC12 challenge Yarville? Will Diogo Morva be able to challenge both of them though? He's already got ahead of B9, has the Renault driver at the moment, and he is flying all of a sudden. His medium's looking much better than DC12's, even though DC did pit later, I believe, did he? No, Diogo's done 2 stops. My apologies. Diogo has gone for a 2-stop strategy. Round the outside into the heel. It's a bit of a brave move from the Renault on the brakes. He'll have the inside for the next corner if he can keep an overlap. And he can't quite keep that overlap at the moment. So DC12 stays in 8th place for now. Diogo thinks about it again. A bit more argy-bargy from the Portuguese man. That's twice those two, I think, have made contact going into that corner. There we go. Diogo takes 8th place. He's got 1 lap. To build to get 1.1 seconds onto the back of Yarville. Judging by Yarville's pace, he'll catch up. But again, not sure he will be able to get this overtake done at the moment, as our leader takes his way around the toe of the boot for the 30th time. Just words fail me for how good Ninja Snake has looked so far this season, and these are very dominant victories. You usually see bigger gaps in GT7 for those who are more familiar with F1. 17.5 seconds over 30 laps, though, is nothing to be stiffed about. That is a very dominant gap indeed. And already, I was about to say already, Diogo's all over the back of DC12, but I think that has blown it. He's got a 2-second penalty, as is DC12. He's all over the back of Yarvel. But that is a penalty. He's going to make the move into the bus stop. Now he's just got to time trial his way around this circuit. Can he build up another gap and stay ahead of the Renault driver? Remains to be seen, but it is around the final corner. It's been 2 out of 2 at the start of this season for Solid Ninja Snake. Our reigning champion is dominated so far. Snake takes the victory here at Watkins Glen. It is going to be a 1-2 for Renault once again, but it is not Yarvi on this occasion. It is going to be Brownski who rounds the final corner to take that second place, and Steve-O will come home in third position. What is happening with Diogo and Yarvo? There we go. Diogo has served the penalty. Yarvo just comes streaking past him back in towards 7th place. This is going to be a tasty final couple of corners, ladies and gentlemen, as we don't think they left everyone enough time there to wait and see what has happened. So yeah, apologies for that one. We were going to get a fantastic battle towards the end of that race, and yeah, just kicks us out on that. So it was a victory for Solid Ninja Snake. Well, sure, we'll get the rest of the results of the rest of the drivers, as we'll save the replay just to make sure that we can get the rest of the results if everyone can't. But yeah, apologies that the race ended in that rather abrupt fashion. Don't think there was enough of a gap between the leader crossing the line there, in my personal opinion. But hey ho. Hey ho, these things have happened. We will once again see if we can try and get our leaders in for an interview with us, our top 3 drivers. I know last week a few of them did have to rush off for work, but hopefully they won't have as long to wait on this occasion. Hopefully we'll be able to wait and hear from them. Let us know in the chat any questions you would want to ask for any interviews for our top 3 drivers. It was Solid Ninja Snake in the lead, Brownski in second, LJM Stevo in third place, Yari in 4th, Mick McMuck in 5th, Keplevo in 6th place. I think in the end they are going to have to... Yeah, I think in the end they're going to have to give that 7th place to... just trying to quickly remember. I think they're going to have to give that 7th place surely to Yarzo. Yarvo's going to have to get 7th. 8th place for Diogo Mora. 9th place for... was 9th place for for DC12. I think 10th place would have been B9. But yeah, apologies for the end of that. Definitely not an ideal end to the race, but thankfully we've got some people in the chat box who want to come have an interview with us. So if we just get ready to drag them across, we have got some interviews, and we're going to start with the man who finished in 2nd place. Congratulations again, Brownski, on another fantastic podium. This Renault is a very nice car on its tyres and fuel load, it seems, and that was the key once again.
Very, very good on tyres, and I think that's the big reason. So 1 lap pace, not particularly amazing, but over this season when tyre wear is so high, you have to worry about what's the fastest way to get 30 laps. I don't really care about anyone else, just go the fastest way over 30 laps. And for me, save the fuel, save the tyres at the start, and then go to softs, mediums at the end, and just see what happens really. Yeah, right now Ninja Snake is just in another level. No one can catch him. Like, he's in the same car and he's just doing something else. I don't know what he's doing, to be honest.
Yeah, he's putting in, like you said, some fantastic performances. Tell us about the start of the race, because you were involved in plenty of interesting battles earlier on. Were you worried that, you know, competitiveness might take over and you might just end up using a bit more fuel and tyres than you planned?
No, so I've been racing for a good 10 years now at least, so experience comes in handy there. You just know your battles, you know who to fight, and just like roughly where you're going to be at the end. Even at the start of a race, you know roughly where everyone's going to be. And to me, it's just save fuel behind people. Just let them fight, let them ruin their tires, and go long. Really, I'm a bit of a one-trick pony when it comes to that.
I mean, it's a good trick so far. It's got your third and second. Headed into next week, Dragon Trail Gardens, our first wet race of the season. How are you feeling about that one?
Oh god! If anyone saw last season in Tier 1, I was awful in the wet. I was like literally seconds off the pace, and it's a track that I don't particularly know very well either. So honestly, if I'm top 5, I think I'll be happy. But we'll see. In theory, the Renault should be very good in the wet, and it should help me along really, because I don't know how it works on GT7, but on GT Sport at least, MR cars were just overpowered in the wet. They were just so much better than everything else. So if it's similar here, the Renault is going to be number 1 again, I reckon.
That's good news for yourself, but I imagine in a way bad news, because it probably means Ninja State's going to have a fantastic race again. Congratulations, Congratulations on tonight, Brownski. We'll let you head off.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And we are now going to bring in the man who finished in 3rd place, the leader of our 2 stoppers on the Jaguar. And congratulations for that 3rd place, Steve-O. Do you think if it wasn't for that slight mistake earlier on, you might have been able to catch up to Brownski and get 2nd?
I think it would have been close. I know we have been very equal on, well, I know very equal in terms of overall race time and we've practiced together early in the week. It's just with the Renault compared to the Jag, I just don't have the tyres or the fuel to be able to do these one stops, so I have to do something different and go a bit more aggressive. But it would have been close, I reckon.
Were you tempted to try and maybe save a bit more fuel in the first stint, go longer, and then possibly think about soft tyres at the end of the race?
No, because as I said, I would have really struggled on the mediums, and I feel like the fastest strategy for me would have been to do what I did. If I didn't make the mistakes, if I didn't have the errors at the bus stop, you never know. But I'll take 3rd. I feel like 2nd was there. I just didn't realise how quick Ninja Snake was going to be.
Yeah, I don't think anyone realised how quick it was going to be. That's 4 wins in a row now for him in the 2nd tier. How are you feeling next week into Dragon Trail? Because, the different strategies that have come into play with the compulsory minimum amount of laps on the tyres go out the window with next week being a wet race.
Yeah, so, I joke with some of the guys that Gardens is the best track on the game, even though I'm not even good at it. It's just I know everyone hates it, but...
Correct.
In the wet, it's a completely different ball game. I have no idea how it's going to go. I feel like I wasn't necessarily taking part in season 1, but I was helping out with a couple of people, and I felt like my pace in the wet was good then. Like it was, I had the chance to win Fuji if I didn't mess up strategy. So hopefully, if that pace transfers over into Gr.4, then I could get a win, but let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Congratulations on your first podium of the season.
Perfect, thank you very much.
And that is pretty much it then for this stream, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. As we've mentioned, it is going to be Dragon Trail Gardens, definitely the more unloved of the 2 tracks that we've got in Croatia for our first wet race of the season. And will the change in weather mean a change in circumstances and a change in winner? And it's been 2 out of 2 so far for Solid Ninja Steak. We'll wait and see if we can make it a hat-trick next time around. Thank you so much to Steve-O and Brownski for joining me for the interviews. Thanks to you guys for watching. If you want some more PSGL action, not on GT, on F1, we have got PC F1 next tomorrow, of course. Some of the top drivers there, Lucas Blakely versus Barry Bowerman versus Jarno Otmea. Will we see the Flying Dutchman fail to win the PSGL PC title for the first time ever? Tune in with Dan and Jack on that one. The rest of the PC tiers on the Thursday, and then PlayStation tiers on Sunday and Monday, with, of course, on the Tuesday, Gran Turismo Webbo Red, top tier, 8 PM. Myself with tier 2 at 8 PM as well. But for myself, Luke Etheridge, thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and goodbye.